Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a special guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here is today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. A simple strategy for long-term wealth is to focus on passive income. We have been conditioned as a society to be consumers. So often, people will get a bonus at work and immediately blow it on a vacation or a new car. Poof, that money is gone. Smart investors, on the other hand, take their money and invest it in a cash-producing asset and use the money they earn to pay for that car or vacation. If that cash-producing asset is a rental property, that money only grows and grows. Over time, the rents will go up as the mortgage gets paid down, thus more money in your pocket. So now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have a super special guest. Her name is Stacy Rossetti. She is a total badass. She's a coach. She's a mom. She's a wife. She has mastermind. She runs the South Atlanta REIA. And I'm so excited to have her. And she's a new friend of mine. So welcome to the show, Stacy Rossetti. Yay!
Hi, thank you.
So I got to stop for a second because this is the first time I'm using my sound effects. So I'm just so excited to have them rocking throughout our show today. So
it already sounds like you're a natural.
Well, if it gets obnoxious, just let me know. So I may get out of control. I'm a little nerdy with these things. So welcome, Stacy. Give us a little background on you. Where are you from? How'd you get involved in real estate? Tell us everything.
Okay, so yeah, I actually live in the North Georgia mountains in a little tiny town called Jasper, Georgia. We've been there for about a year or so, but we've lived in the Atlanta area for about 10 years. And I started investing in real estate about 10 years ago and got into wholesaling and rehabbing, and slowly moved on to commercial property. And now I solely focused on commercial properties, especially self-storage is what I do.
I can't wait to hear about self-storage. I know absolutely nothing about it. So I hope you will drop some nuggets for us today. So you run the South Atlanta REIA, right? And you own it too.
Yes, I do. And actually, the South Atlanta REIA, it's good that you brought that up. The South Atlanta REIA, we are in the process of moving the South Atlanta REIA over to REI USA. Okay. So REI USA is going to be a nationwide education and networking platform. And South Atlanta REIA is basically the same thing, except for it just focused on this, the Atlanta area or the Georgia market. And that really stemmed from COVID. It really stemmed from COVID. So what happened was that all of a sudden, everything went virtual. We started doing all these virtual meetings, virtual webinars. And then we started getting people from like all across the country joining the South Atlanta REIA, people that were interested in investing in the Georgia market, but they lived in like California or Minnesota or wherever else. And I started thinking, it was like, man, there's so many opportunities for people outside of the state of Georgia to be investing. And Georgia's like, why isn't anybody doing this really across the country? So I decided my husband and I were traveling around the United States from May into August, and we just started talking about it. And so we decided to move South Atlanta REIA over to REI USA, and it's going to be just like a virtual education and networking platform, which essentially just means like all things real estate related will be taught through like webinars.
I love it, and I'm part of our local REIA in this area. It's called TRIA, the Triangle Real Estate Investor Association. I totally agree. I think it's so necessary to have something at the national level too, because there's people all over the place. I mean, because of podcasting, I get to meet Stacy Rossetti and have a full on conversation with her right here. So I think it's so necessary, and that's awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that. So I want to get into self-storage facilities. How did you get involved in this?
So, so what happened is I got pregnant. It really is that's really what happened. And I was at the time that I got pregnant, I was
How
doing
did that happen? I'm just kidding.
you don't want to know. Actually, you know what that happened? I got pregnant on 4th of July. So
Oh,
funny. Yeah. So the fireworks were going
I
off
was
that
going to
night.
say, take care of those fireworks.
Exactly. And so I was doing, at the time I was doing like 15 or 20 rehabs. I was doing a ridiculous amount of rehab. So I was one of those people that was like crazy enough to be doing like 10 to 20 rehabs at a time. And so I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I was thinking to myself, as a mom, as a woman and a female investor, I was thinking, how am I going to handle 15 rehabs at a time and have a little tiny baby that I really want to just focus on spending more time with my baby and like less time on these rehabs? I was like, there's just no way, right? So when we got pregnant, I just told my husband, I was like, that's it. We're not buying any more houses unless it's like some sort of passive income. And so that is, and really Lillian is the reason why we started investing in passive income. And it's so funny that your spotlight, your spotlight
My
advice.
badassery bestowment.
Yes, exactly. Passive income is because that's really what we focus on now, is all passive income. And so we stopped buying houses. Now at that time, I had like 15 rehabs going, and I also think I had like 15 rehabs in the pipeline. So it
Wow.
wasn't like we were done or anything. It was going to take us forever to even finish all those. And we did hold on to some of those and then finish those up in this past year. So it took us a while to get all those done. But yeah, so we started, like, basically what happened is I told my realtor that was like, one of the main people that were bringing like houses to me, is like, look, start looking for passive income. Like, I don't care if it's like houses, like rental houses, or like more multifamily, or maybe buying portfolios of houses. Is like, I'm really open to whatever's out there right now, but I just want to start focusing on passive income. And so he brought a storage facility that was about maybe 20 minutes away from our house, that had been sitting on the market for almost 5 years. He was like,
Whoa.
hey, why don't you just check this thing out too? And I looked at like all different kinds of things, and that's really kind of how it got started.
Okay. And you said, all right, here's a self-storage facility. What do I do with it? Like, so
I
how's
had
that
no
work?
idea. We literally had no idea about storage facilities. We didn't know how to run any numbers. We didn't know if it was a good deal or not. I mean, it was a dumpy storage facility that the owner, he was probably in his like late 80s, 88, 89. The storage facility was called Big Daddy Storage Facilities. I know. And anyway, so, and it just looked like Big Daddy was not into it anymore. All right. And so what happened was I went over and I drove over and took a look at it. When I looked at it, I was like, man, this is looking good. This is like something that I can do, right? Because I'm like a rehabber, right? So when I look at like junky, nasty things, I get excited.
Yes.
It brings me joy. So it's kind of the same thing with the storage facility. It was just junky, like tires everywhere. You could tell people just throwing trash wherever. And there was also a lot of parking as well. You could tell he was just like, yeah, just go find a spot, kind of a thing. And so I was like, yeah, this is looking good. This is looking really good. And he had it on the market for $500,000. It was it was like 100. I mean, I don't really know how many spots it really should have had at that time. We've created now about 125 spots.
You're
And
saying
that's like,
spots. Is
well,
that
as in like units,
okay?
like the whole units I think the units are 64 units, but then all the way around the whole facility is parking. So you have to include that when you're looking at storage facility as income, right? So I was like walking around it, and I was thinking, like, how many spots can I actually get? How many, we call them lanes. How many lanes can we get from the facility? And it came out to like, I think we calculated around 60, maybe 60 spots. And he probably had in all 60 spots, he probably had like, I would say 30 cars, like just parked all randomly and stuff. So he wasn't really utilizing the space at all. And so I met John, and the owner's name was John. And
Big Daddy.
yes, exactly. And I was like, okay, so tell me the scoop. What is it? What's going on? He was like, I've had this thing since 1980. I built it in 1980. And I'm just, my wife wants to retire and move to Florida. And I'm just tired of it. And I said, okay, well, tell me how much money how much are you bringing in? And he said, I'm bringing in about like 2,300. And I was thinking to myself, 2,300 for like a place that should really, if I counted, and if you count like all the spaces, let's say each lane for a parking, on average, anywhere from $50 to $100 a month, depending on what you park there. And then you park 60, if you calculate, even if you just calculate 64 units times $50 a month, you get like, that's already like $3,500 or almost $4,000, right? And then plus including all the parking, which was like at least 50 to 60, I was thinking 50 to 60 spots at like $50 is another like $3,000 a month. I was like, you should be making like $6,000 a month minimum on this place. And he was bringing like $2,300. And he was like, I was like, are you full or not full? What's your vacancy? I was like, oh yeah, we're full. And I was like, okay, well, why are you full and only making $2,300? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And this is coming from somebody that, I literally had no idea how to run deal analysis on storage facilities. Now, I know how to calculate like, cash on cash return and like cap rate and all this kind of stuff. But back then, I had no idea. I was just looking at the deal going, is this a good deal or not a good deal? And so in the end, he was only making about $2,300 and he could have at least made $6,000. Now I think we're making around $7,000 to $8,000 a month on this thing. And it's 100% full and very organized and clean and looks nice and everything. So what I did was I talked to him and I said, show me the numbers. And so what he did is we went into his office, which was like kind of right across the way. And he opened up his desk and pulled out a ledger. Right. So, and then he showed me, this is how I keep track of all my numbers. And he was literally like
a paper ledger.
Yes, like a paper ledger.
Wow.
Right. And so I was thinking to myself, yes, this is awesome. I love this so much. I was so excited. When somebody pulls out a ledger, they don't know what they're doing, right? And so he pulled out his ledger and he was like, if you buy this, I'll just give you this ledger. And I was thinking to myself, awesome, can't wait to get this ledger.
Wow.
And so he kind of went through and showed me, but it's an all cash. It was all cash. That's it. Like he like every once in a while he would get checks, but most of the time he would just get cash. And he didn't record any of that cash at all, right? So so I told him, I said, the reason why your facility has been sitting on the market for 5 years is because nobody can buy this unless they have cash. That's it. Nobody's going to be able to go to a bank and buy this facility because you have to show that you have income. You have to have a P&L and a balance sheet in order for them. This thing is worth $500,000 if it was 100% full, and you actually had paperwork or documents showing that you were going to make this much money. He was just like, he looked at me, he's like, oh God, I hate this girl. I could just tell. And I'm like, nobody's going to ever pay $500,000 on this thing. They're just not. And so I said, this is why I'm giving you an offer of $250,000.
Nice.
And so he was just like, no, I'm not going to take this at all. And I was like, okay, well, that's my offer. It's $250,000. And that's as high as I can go. That's it. That's the final offer. And so a couple days later, he called back and he said, okay, I'll accept the 250. So he had time to think about it. And he said, you know what? He's like, I'm just ready to get through with this thing. I'm done. He's like, just take it off my hands.
Take that ledger.
Yes, I got the ledger at closing. He got the ledger, and I was like, and usually before closing, you get like rent roll, you get like P&L balance sheet, you get a whole bunch of stuff, except for when you buy mismanaged facilities. And
Right.
this is a mismanaged facility, and pretty much all the facilities that I buy, like I'm buying one right now where the guy's also, he's like in his 80s. He said he's about 84 years old, and he just like, and I said I need, at closing I need a rent roll. I need a plat, I need a survey. I want to know like the true boundaries of your property and stuff. And he was like, "You're going to make me work, aren't you?" That's what he said. But I bought the same one. I bought that one. It was about 100. It's like 110, 105 to 110 units. I'm getting that for 275.
Nice.
And these, after you build these up and get them 100% full, I mean, they're going to be worth like $600,000 or $700,000. You have to make them look like they're $600,000 or $700,000,
So
right?
let's talk about that. How do you increase the value at your storage facility? So what is the rehab you would do?
Yes, yes. So rehabbing in the sense like is not like on a commercial side or storage facility is not like housing, like properties. It's like what I call training your tenants. It's really what it is. It's getting all the old tenants out and getting the new tenants in. And it's really property management is what it is. So, like, so for instance, on Big Daddy Storage or, on Dawn Storage Facility, he did not train his tenants. In fact, when he said he was 100% full, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm 100% full." And I was like, "Well, why are you only making 2,300?" He said, I told you I was 100% full. I didn't tell you everybody was paying." It was pretty funny. And really only only 30 or 40% of everybody and of everybody that was there was full. And a lot of people had never even paid in years. In 10 years they hadn't paid, and he just never even cleaned out the units or anything.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done. And that happens quite often. We found an abandoned storage facility last year, and it was like 76 units, and they just gave up. They just literally gave up, and every single unit was completely full. And so we had to go through and do auction. We basically had to do auctions for all of the personal property, and one day we auctioned off I think like 30 or 40 units. This is crazy. So you
that's
get
like
this all
storage
the time.
wars. Like
Yeah, well, actually, everybody always writes storage wars, but the truth is that that's not true. Like, that's just TV stuff. That does not happen, unfortunately.
you mean like the rehab shows on television? Those are all like so true. All this.
Yeah, yeah. Don't believe everything you hear on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody always asks me, "Is the storage wars true?" And I'm like, "No, unfortunately." Like, we'll have like an auction, and it is so funny. We'll have like, the only people that ever show up to auctions are like thrift store owners.
Right.
And then they come and they auction, and like you open up the door and they're like, "All right, you're going to make like hundreds of thousands of dollars." And it's like, they look in, they peek their head in, and they go, $25.
My gosh.
So the goal of owning of owning a storage facility is not to have auctions, because you just literally essentially you're losing money from all your auctions. The goal is to get your tenants to pay. So that's why I say train your tenants. So essentially you're getting in and you're training your tenants. As soon as they come in, you're saying, "Okay, just so you know, rent's due on the 1st. By the 4th, it's late. You have a $10 late fee. By the 10th, it's late again, and you have another late fee. By the 15th, we're locking you out, and by the 25th, we're starting the auction process." Right? And you get the tenants in that are like, that understand that there's rules to us managing, of us holding their property. Right. So all of the older, and like, we didn't know this in the first facility that we bought. I mean, it literally took us a year and a half to figure all this stuff out, so us trying to figure out, and I was scared even just doing my first raise, like raising the rent. Because on John, I mean, he was charging like for a unit that should have been like $60 or $70 a month. He was charging like $30 a month. I mean, it was like ridiculous. And so I was like, okay, I'll honor everybody for like the first 90 days. But I ended up not doing my first increase in rent until like a year later. And, I was so scared that like everybody was going to move out. I was like freaking out. All the new people that come in, they all had like the right rates, but all the older ones, they did not. And they were just paying this $30, $35 a month. So we raised all the rates. We literally like doubled the prices on most of them, just doubled them. We were like, "I'm sorry, but this is just how it is." And guess what happened?
What?
Nobody moved out.
Awesome.
Nobody complained. Nothing happens.
That's so rare.
And then I just kicked myself in the butt because I was like, why did I not raise the rents like a year ago? And now I teach all my students is like, as soon as you get in, you give them a 60-day notice and you raise the rents. And that's what everybody does and on my coaching stuff. But like, I don't want them to go through the same thing I had to go through, which was like the fear of losing people.
So you can make up your own rules on everything. There's not like a national anything that you have to follow.
It's state by state. But so you'll like, and you can go out and join. Like there's the Georgia Self-Storage Association, right? So just like there's RIA, like the South Atlanta RIA. There's also associations for storage facilities. So I highly recommend if anybody's interested, go check out your self-storage association within your state, and then learn the laws of your state. They'll probably have like vendors that are like attorneys and all kinds of stuff, and you can learn, that way as well too. So that would definitely be a great thing to do. And then there also is the self-storage, like International Self-Storage Association, which is like the nationwide association as well. Just like we have the national RIA, then we have all these like, cities and stuff as well too. And they go out and lobby for like, our rights and things like this is what they do.
I had no idea about all this. So what the positive side of running a self-storage facility is minimal upkeep, I'm sure. Just money coming in. Like what are some other positives, as an owner of a storage facility?
So essentially with self-storage investing, you are working on the passive side of real estate investing. So this is long-term buy and holds, right? So this is not a get rich quick thing. All right. This is like, and especially, so the way that self-storage investing works, there's really 5 different ways for you to invest in self-storage. Okay. The one thing that you can do, which is active income, is you can wholesale self-storage. And I do wholesale self-storage, and I teach my students how to do this just in case they come across something and they're just like, no, this is just not what I want. It doesn't fit my wheelhouse. Well, don't pass it up, put it under contract and wholesale it. Right. The second thing is mismanaged facilities, which is I focus mostly on mismanaged facilities because what I like for the value add, I like to buy storage facilities that are 25 to 50 cents on the dollar. And then now the thing with mismanaged facilities, it's going to take a good year for you to get that thing to where it's turning a profit. Right. And another thing with mismanaged facilities is that you can't go to a bank most of the time and get a loan for these. So you're going to have to get private lenders or hard money lenders to lend you the money to buy these types of facilities. And they're out there. They're definitely out there. And then you just have to know with the mismanaged facility that you're going to be coming out of pocket most of the time. Because so I'll borrow, for instance, the one that I'm closing on at the end of this year, I'll borrow $275,000 to purchase it. But every single month, I mean, it's only probably 25 to 50% full. So until I can get it to where it's turning a profit, I'm coming out of pocket every single month to run that facility. With mismanaged facilities, you have to know that in the beginning, you're going to get them for 25 to 50 cents on the dollar. But then long-term buy and hold is that you're going to be able to sell that thing in $600,000 or $700,000. That's the goal, at least. You want to buy at the highest cap rate you can get and sell it at the lowest cap rate that you can get. Okay. And so mismanaged facilities, and then you can buy like cash flowing properties, so income producing properties. And these are ones that you can get a P&L, a balance sheet. You can get, tax returns from the owners, and you can get all the documents because they're running them properly. And they may not be 100% full. Maybe they're 70 or 80% full or something like this. So there's a little bit of value add and maybe increasing the prices a little bit. Or sometimes these types of properties will have like extra land where you can go out and add on and do additional units. But most of the time, you're buying a cash flowing business. So you really make more money on the monthly income. Right. Whereas opposite of mismanaged facilities, you're making money in the long term. Right. So that's the difference between like cash flowing and mismanaged. And then you can get out there and you can build. Right. So like I said, I got some land and I want to build a storage facility on it. And so that's a great way to do storage investing, just as long as you know how to look at the numbers and see if it's going to be a good area and run the numbers. And then And then also you can do what's super popular right now, and you see these everywhere, is these conversions, right? So developing and conversions now is like you see these retail buildings that are empty, and then storage facilities are being bought. The buildings are being bought and storage facilities are being built inside. Those are called conversions. And so you have like wholesaling, mismanaged properties, cash flowing properties, land, and then convert land and new construction and conversions. Those are kind of really the 5 ways to get into self-storage investing.
That's awesome. What are the negatives to owning self-storage? It doesn't sound like there's much.
There's really not a lot. Honestly, there's really not a lot of negatives. Okay, one of the main negatives is you don't know when the phone is going to ring. That's one of the things, is that they're calling from 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night sometimes, and if your gate can't open and you have an emergency call, you've got to go down and try to figure out how to get the gate opened. And we've had to have that. It's funny because we have like storage facilities that are like gated with like, security systems on them. And those are the ones we always have the most issues at. Oh, it's like so weird. So we have one that's like has a nice gate and it's got security cameras. It's all secure and nice. And that's the one time that we ever got a break-in, was at that place. Right. And then we have one that's like never even locked. Like this thing in 30 years has never been closed up or locked up. Like there's a fence and it's just always wide open. And the owner's like, I never locked it up ever in like 30 years. And this one never has any break-ins or anything. It's like so random weird, right? So we don't really honestly even spend a lot of money on security systems and stuff like that. Some more negatives would be irate tenants. If there's some sort of mix up, or like the other day we had like a mix up, like the customer, we gave them like B12 is your unit number, and then they put all their stuff into like B13, right? And then you get like these kind of like mix ups and stuff like that. So every once in a while you deal with that. And we had one where like during one of the storms, the tree fell down on the RV. So we had to hire a tree company to come take the tree off the RV, and then the insurance company deemed it totaled.
Wow.
So we had to deal with all that, man. Yes. Yeah. So every once in a while you get stuff like that, but that's in 5 years, that's basically it, honestly.
And what about ones that are air controlled, that have air conditioning? Do you have ones like that, or are they just cement boxes?
We do not have any of those yet, but we are looking at a couple of facilities that have that. So we cater to, like, we buy the ones, we buy like the beginner kind of storage facilities. Like we focus on $1 million or less, but the sweet spot is anywhere from like $200,000 to $400,000, something like that. And the reason why, honestly, is because I was just rolling all my money over from all my rehabs from my lenders into storage facilities. So as I finished up a rehab, I convinced the lender to just put that right into a storage facility. It's almost the same amount of money, except for now it's like a 3 to 5 year loan instead of a 1 year loan. And so that's kind of what we do now. And we've been doing that for a while. We are in the process of starting a fund, and we will be doing like a Reg D fund, which is where you can crowd fund money, and then you can go out and buy like $1 million or $2 million facilities and stuff like that. So we are in the process of doing that. But as of right now, it's really kind of smaller facilities.
Crowdfunding is so smart.
Yes.
Last question on facility or storage facilities. What is the craziest thing you've pulled out of one that was left behind?
I mean, honestly, I really haven't found anything crazy, but we did have one facility, one unit that we opened up, and it looked like he hadn't paid. He stopped paying, so we went to auction, did the whole process, and then we opened up. So you cannot open anything up until you go through the auction process, just so everybody knows. But we went through the process. We even had the auction, and like nobody wanted to buy it or anything. So when we opened it up, it was it looked like he owned a restaurant. Huh. And it was like, there was like refrigerators, and there was like cooking, like kitchen, like those big stove kitchen things, and fryers, and everything was all like tables and stuff like that. It was all things like restaurant. And so I was like, man, this is worth some money. So then we tried to sell it. I was like, I put it on Facebook Marketplace and tried to sell everything. Because if nobody bids on it or nobody wants it, then you can just do whatever you want with it, And so I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody came out and they gave us, I think, like $800 for it. I
Nice.
was like, yes, I made $800. I was so excited.
So,
But other than that, nothing crazy.
I was expecting you to say dead body. I mean, that's what I was really counting on because, when I go look at houses, old houses, I'm always like, oh, I think that's where the dead bodies are. I'm always thinking in my brain, where are we going to find the dead bodies? So what were you going to say?
I was going to say one of my students, he found somebody living in the unit. Yes. And it's so funny. It's so gross. Should I say it like gross? So anyway,
be gross, girl.
He came, like there was like a bed. There was like a cot in the bed, and then there was a keyboard. Okay. Right. So I guess he was like jamming out, right? Doing his thing. And then there was a toilet, but the toilet was like super clean, like super clean toilet. So like we were trying, my students were trying to figure out, I was like, how in the heck do they even go to the bathroom in this toilet? They must have put like plastic down or something.
Oh,
it's so weird. They had to get the police to come and totally, and they had to even evict him. Yeah, it was like really weird. So, but yeah, they had to get them all out and stuff. That's kind of the weirdest thing that I've ever heard. But other than that,
crazy. So
kind of boring.
I appreciate you dropping all this knowledge on self-storage facilities. I know you have a course. So tell us about the course, because my listeners, I'm sure so many of them are perking up right now and saying, I need to get into this. So tell us about your course. How can they sign up for it, and what all do you teach, etc.?
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So you can go to stacyrossetti.com, and that's where you can find my courses. And I have a whole bunch of different courses, but the storage course is called Super Simple Self-Storage.
Say that 10 times fast.
Super Simple Self-Storage. I know. And everybody, so what it is, it's about, I think it's around 75 videos or something like that, which kind of sounds like a lot, but they're probably like 5 to 15 minutes each, but it takes you through what I call my 6-step system, which is basically setting up your office and getting all your office set up, and then getting your marketing going, and how do you find the right storage facilities, and then acquisitions, where it's like, how do you run deal analysis, and how do you actually acquire the property, and then you get into financing, and how do you actually finance all these different properties, and then you get into managing them or selling them or liquidating them. So it's all the different departments, and you have probably around, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 20 videos in each one of those. And it literally just takes you step by step on what you need to learn, how you do deal analysis, and what you need to do in order to start acquiring storage facilities. And then we also have a couple of bonuses too. Like for instance, private, you heard me, I think I use private money. I essentially use private money for all my facilities as of right now, because I buy mismanaged facilities. And so, everybody's always asking me, how do you find private money? So there's a section in there on how to find private money. There's a section on there's a wholesaling storage facility section, because everybody's always a lot of people want to learn how to wholesale storage. And honestly, the truth is there's not enough wholesalers for storage facilities out there. There's very, very few, and there's way too many buyers. So if you are a wholesaler out there listening, highly recommend that you educate yourself on wholesaling commercial property, especially storage facilities, because it is a hot market right now.
What a great opportunity.
So that's it. Yeah. So you can go to stacyrossetti.com and you can get it right there.
And you also have Storage Nerds.
And Storage Nerds is the coaching program. So some of you are like, no, I just want to have accountability. It's group coaching. So you get me as the coach and facilitator, but then you get everybody in the whole group as well too. And everybody's everybody's in different journeys, and everybody wants out of the 5 ways that you can invest, everybody's kind of on their own path. And then on top of that, they're all people I just had 5 people join, and then that one last week or so. And then I have people that have been in it for a year that have already had their first one, and they're looking for their second one and stuff. So like you get to hear like all the oldies that are like spreading their wisdom on how they do stuff, and then all the newbies sharing all their insights of what they learned. And so I love group coaching. I love the power of group coaching because you get me, but you get everybody else as well too. And so that's why I call us, it's Storage Nerds. It's a coaching and it's a mastermind at the same time. And we also do we do 2-day boot camps, and we do like infield training days and all kinds of good stuff. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's just storagenerds.com is what it is. And then you can become a storage nerd.
Yay. I want to be a storage nerd. So I know you're fantastic at separate niche, but you're also great at other things. One is creative deal structuring. So do you coach on that as well?
Yes, I do. I have a beginner investor group where we do like strictly a lot of creative deal structuring. So I get you set up on, wholesaling and rehabbing, but essentially you're acquiring properties through creative deal structuring. I had a student that she just acquired a property where she only had to put $5,000 down, and then she bought the property subject to, and then she went in and I think she put like $20,000 to rehab it, and she sold it on the back end, and did all she had to do is come up with that 5,000 down and the 25,000 for the rehab, and she made like 30 or 40 grand just by selling that thing. And so, especially for people that don't really have a lot of money, creative deal structuring is the way to go. And especially right now, people are really open. Sellers of all properties are open to creative deal structuring on the storage facility side and on the residential side as well too. They're just open to being, because they just know that the world is kind of chaotic and stuff. So highly recommend, if you are an investor, learn how to do creative deal structuring. So I have even like owners of storage facility owners, like owner financing their storage facilities to me, right? So I can owner finance and do that for others, and then they can do that for me. So it's kind of like, it's a way to acquire property, but with very little money down. All right. And I say I own like millions of dollars worth of storage facilities, and I have put no money of my own into purchasing any of those facilities. Now I do put money into like managing them and running them, but to purchase them, I'm 100% privately funded. Either the owners are doing that for me, or other lenders are doing that. So that's kind of what creative deal structuring is. I have one student that partnered with the owner. So the owner was free and clear, right? And so the owner, like, instead of getting him to owner finance, he offered owner financing as one of the ways, and he also offered partnering, and the owner said, yeah, let's partner. So he brought, I think, 40 or 50 grand to the table to do the rehab, and then they just split the profit 50-50 on the back end with the owner. Right. So things like that, that's creative deal structuring is what that
And
is.
that's such a mindset you have to get used to, because people think to get in this business, you have to have money. And I, like you, we never use our own money. There's plenty of private money lenders out there who want us to grow their money for them. They don't want it sitting in a savings account earning 0.2%, so.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yes. There's many different ways to acquire property. It's just that you have to be open to thinking outside the box.
Yes. So this is my first podcast coming out in 2021. I'm so glad to get rid of 2020. What is happening at the end of January? What's happening at the end of this month? I can't wait for you to tell the listeners about this.
Oh, yes. We have the Badass Women Real Estate Investors Virtual Summit, right?
Yes!
So
I've forgotten to use all my sounds. I'm listening to everything you say, like, oh my God, I need to buy a storage unit. I'm forgetting to use my sound. So yes, Badass Women. Let's hear about it.
So my personal opinion is there is a lot of badass women real estate investors in the world.
Hell yes.
But like, we just don't put ourselves out there. You see all these like real estate investing conferences, and there's like no women speakers or one woman speaker or something like this, right? Like out there. And I'm never invited to any of these things either, right? So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna make my own. And so I was like, I've been out searching for the best, the badass women. And there's so many badass women investors out there. And now I'm going to put you guys all together, and everybody's going to have, an hour slot to just teach what they do best. And it's going to be available for all REI USA members. Right. So you can become a member of REI USA. It's $40 to become a member. And then it's free. $40 to become a member of REI USA.
For a year, for a month?
For the month, per month. For the month, yeah, for a month. And then you can join, you can hang out with the summit, and then you'll just get like, there's probably going to be, I would say 8 to 10 women speaking every single day. We're going to just do it live. So if everybody, if we all screw up, then, you get to see our badassery as well too, doing that. And I've done a virtual summit like this before. I did one last year, and it turned out to be fantastic. It was wonderful. And I just love seeing like everybody's personalities, all the different type of women out there from across the country doing so many different types of real estate investing transactions. And you'll be able to just hear how awesome they all are. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be blown away because there's so many wonderful women out there. So that is what we're going to be doing.
You said we're going to be blown away. All right. I had to throw
Yes, you're going to be blown away.
All right. And they would go to reiusa.com.
Yeah, just go to REI. Actually, it's REI-USA.
Okay.
Yeah, REI-USA is what it is.
Well, Stacy, thanks for sharing your badassery on all this. I like to end my podcasts by using the acronym BADASS, and I have a couple questions for you. So the first letter is B, and it's for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Let's see, a huge.
Besides the Bible. Don't say the Bible. Everyone says the Bible.
I'm not saying the Bible. No, I would say one of them was probably about 20 years ago. I read The Secret, which really changed my life because it just taught me that the way that I was thinking is not the right way to be thinking. Right. So The Secret is really good.
The Law of Attraction.
The Law of Attraction. Are you like a Law of Attraction person?
Oh, yes. And have you ever seen the movie, The Secret?
I love the movie.
So super cheesy-ish, there's a lot of, was it the 90s that came out?
Yeah.
So I have it on Netflix, and I will watch it if I'm like falling asleep at night. I'll put it on the TV just to get it more in my brain as much as possible.
Yes, I do this too. Yes. And it's so funny because like my dad, when I was growing up, he made me listen to Zig Ziglar.
Awesome.
Like back in the day. So like when I was like 6 years old, I'd be like, Dad, I can't sleep. And he'd be like, all right, put some Zig Ziglar on.
That's awesome.
So like I'm that type of person too. Yeah. But I think The Secret is probably the most life-changing. But there's a lot of awesome books out there. I just got through reading this is probably a good book for you as well too. 1 Million Followers.
Oh.
That is a really good book. You should definitely read that. Right. And it's just like teaches people how to grow their followers. But yeah, there's a lot of really good books.
Awesome. Yeah, I love The Secret. All right. So the first A in badass is advice. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Oh, yes. So actually, this is from Paul Assasian.
Oh, okay.
What happened was I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off when I first got into real estate investing. I was like doing all size rehabs all around Atlanta. I was just like all over. It took me an hour to drive here, an hour to drive here. And I was talking to Paul, and this is like when I joined Fortune Builders, it was in 2010. I mean, it was like really small.
I honestly did not realize you're in Fortune Builders. I love Fortune Builders.
Yes. So, so we used to go to like the boot camps, and they'd be like super small, so you could actually go and talk to them. Right. And so and I told him, I was talking to him one day, and I said, do you know, I was like, I feel like I'm running around with like a crazy person. Like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Cause I got 13 rehabs right now. And it's just like, I'm going all over. And he said, Stacy, do you know how the rich get richer? And I was like, work hard? And he was like, no. He's like, how do the wealthy become wealthy? And I was like, I don't know. Tell me, you're the coach. He's like, they focus on one thing and they master that, and they get really, really good at that. And they do it over and over and over again. And when he told me that, and they said, you are literally, you have like a $1,000 rehab and a $20,000 rehab and $100,000 rehab and a $40,000 rehab right now. He's like, all those rehabs are all completely different. And then on top of that, he's like, you have an hour, too far away. He's like, you really need to hone in on which rehab is the best rehab for you. You need to hone in on what's that one thing that you're going to get really good at. And that's what I did, is essentially I focused on like 3-1s. I was really good at doing like 3-1s and making them into 3-2s without changing the footprint of the house. And so I just went out and I've really kind of just bought, that's what I did for 5 years straight, was just buy those houses over and over and over again. And every single one of those rehabs were always between $50,000 and $60,000. And I became like super cookie cutter, right? But that's how I got, that's how I did 100 rehabs in 5 years, is because I just like did that one thing over and over again. And that really kind of led me to everything else that I'm doing now. So that's it. Master the one thing over and over again.
I had a little crush on his brother JD for a while with
oh yeah,
big hair.
Yeah. I like them all.
All right, the D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
My family, my daughter, right? Yeah. And actually I want her to be extraordinary, right? So how is she going to be extraordinary? I have to be extraordinary, right? That's it. That's the truth. So I try to be as extraordinary as I possibly can, so that I can be a good role model for her. That's my drive.
You're definitely extraordinary, just in the little time that I've gotten to know you. So I appreciate you sharing your badass. Yes.
Hopefully she sees that.
Yes. Your mommy is a total badass. All right. So the second A is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. What are some goals you are working on right now?
My goal was to finish my storage course by Black Friday. Right. And that storage course was literally a year of my life. I started doing the videos in like the same time last year. And I kept telling myself the whole year long, I was like, okay, we're going to finish this thing. We're going to finish the thing. You just get all sidetracked and stuff. And so I just said, no, I'm going to launch that thing on Black Friday. So I did. I launched it. That was my big goal for that year, was launching it on Black Friday and trying to just get it out into the world. That was one goal. And now my goal for next year is 10 storage facilities, purchasing 10 storage facilities. So now what do we have to do for that?
Yeah. Right. How many do you have now?
We have 6. So yeah, 6. So we're buying one more at the end of this year. So we'll have 7 by the end of the year.
And do you only buy them in Georgia, or do you buy them out of state?
We only buy in Georgia. Okay. We only I'm the queen of storage in Georgia. That's the goal.
Love it. So the first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I'm like the systems queen, man. I used to teach a workshop back in the day, and it was called Systematizing Your Rehabs to Scale Up. And that's it. That's like essentially like, if you know me, you know that I'm all about systems. So everything is I'm very organized, process oriented. And luckily my husband is very process oriented, and I can see it in my daughter as well too. So it's like, now she's like, first we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do, and then she does this. First we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. So yeah, so I think we're going to be like the systems family.
I love it.
Everything for us is systems. Yeah.
Systems are so important. The last S is success. What does success mean to you?
Success for me is being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Amen.
Yes, that's success. So, yeah. So for us, our success is being able to travel 6 to 8 months out of the year. That's
and you're really traveling right now.
Yeah. So we do travel 6 to 8 months, and we travel 4 months during the summer, and then 2 to 3 months during the winter time. And so we're in Maine right now. We live in Georgia. We're in Maine. We're up here for a couple months hanging out, we're being like snow tourists right now, because, in Georgia, you don't get any snow except for maybe like 1 inch, every once in a while or something.
Right.
So we're like, we rented a house, like we have like this, like it's an Airbnb house. It's on 10 acres.
Oh.
And it has like the perfect like hills for sledding. And the first week that we got up here, it snowed 1 foot.
Wow.
Yeah. So like we've been like every day going out and building snowmans and sledding and like Lily's eating lots of snow. Lily likes to eat snow. And that's kind of what we're doing now. It's just doing that for the winter time.
Just tell her to stay away from the yellow snow.
Yes, I have made sure. I keep hiding it. But actually, I don't know if I should hide it or not, though. I'm just like, stay over in that area.
Well, Stacy, you have been so awesome. I appreciate you coming on the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. And the best way for our audience to find you is stacyrossetti.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
STACYROSSETTI.com. So check her out, everybody. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.